bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate the world, peaches ripe.
Yo, what's up?
Not much. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Explain to me why someone that is like 4 years old needs to learn about sex when they literally just came out the womb like 4 years like before that.
It's sex health education, so it's not sex specific.
Okay, so tell me exactly what they would teach in like kindergarten.
Family circles, friend circles, anatomical names of body parts, good touch, bad touch, necessary, confusing.
Would there be a specific class that teaches this, or would this be a different would this be in like a certain like science classroom or something?
It would be a specific class typically done by social workers or health professionals, or health teachers, I should say.
And are parents able to opt out of that specific education for their child?
Yeah, I don't know why
Okay.
they would though.
I
Because
don't
some
think they should
certain
be allowed.
certain kids can feel uncomfortable about talking about certain things like that with strangers, and certain people find it more comfortable to talk about people that they're close to, especially at a very younger age.
Well, parents definitely should be involved with the school when it comes to subject like this, because I do think there can be certain things that are certainly reinforced at home. Sure.
And also, why are you pro-choice?
I find pregnancy coercion unethical.
Pregnancy coercion? How is it pregnancy coercion?
Can you define pregnancy coercion for me?
Well, I know what coercion is. I don't know what pregnancy is. Coercion would be telling someone that they have to do something, or you get this certain consequence. Like it's if I put a gun to your head and I kill you, or you give me your money. That would be an example of coercion. As well as pregnancy is when a sperm meets the egg, and which would be conception, which would then be pregnancy.
Well, conception's not pregnancy, but okay. Um,
What is conception then?
pregnancy
What is pregnancy then?
and pregnancy is when the embryo implants into the uterus.
That's exactly what conception is.
No, it's not. Conception
Sperm.
is when the sperm and egg meet and are fertilized.
Hold on one second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And where do you get your definition of pregnancy from?
Um, I don't have like a clinical definition, but are you saying I'm incorrect?
What I'm seeing from the NCBI government website, I'm assuming you know what NCBI is. Like everybody, I feel like everybody in this on
Yeah.
TikTok debates knows it. But pregnancy is a term that's used to describe a period in which the fetus develops inside the woman's womb or uterus.
Right.
So
But conception happens prior to pregnancy.
okay. So exactly what is pregnancy coercion?
Pregnancy coercion is where you use force, threat, or intimidation to make someone either stay pregnant or terminate pregnancy.
I'm sorry. Say it again. I was drinking a drink and it went up my nose. I'm sorry. Say it again.
Pregnancy coercion is where you use force, threats, or intimidation to make someone stay pregnant or have a termination.
So you mean like in the sense that they can go to jail if they don't keep the baby?
Well, essentially, abortion bans would be a type of force.
Okay, great. So then you obviously agree that if I take your money, then that would be, if I take your money without consent and I tell you, give me your money or I kill you or certain another type of thing, consequence, would that be coercion as well? That would be coercion, right?
Well, I
Correct.
think that
And
would be
that's
robbery.
it's it's a form of coercion either way. I mean, you're telling someone you either do something or this will be your consequence. Just how like technically taxes are coercion, right?
Well, no, because you opt into them when you sign your W-2.
Well, not actually. You opt into them as soon as you start paying for certain things. That when you're a child, you can pay for things and have sales tax, and you don't have to sign a W-2.
Well, that's not necessarily coercion because they're not like
They're saying
forcing you
either pay
to.
taxes. They're saying either pay taxes or you get arrested.
Uh,
or you go to
Not
jail
the
for you
not
go
the
to prison
no,
sales
for
tax
tax
that you were
evasion.
not the
not
sales tax.
sales tax that you were just talking about.
Well, either way, you don't necessarily agree to it. It's either you agree to it or you go to jail for tax evasion. That would still be coercion, right?
No, it's either you agree to it or you don't pay taxes, don't get a job, don't buy things.
Yeah, because that's basically saying either you give me your money or you get shot. That you only have one
No,
option.
not necessarily,
That's
because if you
coercion.
don't want to pay taxes in the United States, you can leave. You can choose to opt out of those by leaving.
By leaving the country, but every country has taxes.
Correct, but you still can opt out of the United States taxes. Like if
I'm
that
sorry, are
it's
you saying essentially any law is coercion? Is that the point you're trying to make?
No, what I'm saying is that any type of it's either you do this or you do that. It's technically you have to figure out what is considered
So giving someone
just.
options is not
Like
necessarily coercion.
consider like if you don't have like if you don't have a just reason of making something wrong in society, it would be coercion. Just how taking someone's money involuntarily from their paycheck is coercion. It's either, hey, you work for me,
You
or
have opted
you
into
work.
paying it through a W-2.
Yeah, and the W-2 is not necessarily voluntary.
It is because you fill it out in order
Yeah, if I
to
give you the
go
money,
to
if
your
I give you my
employment.
money, if I give
You
you my
know what?
money,
I feel you're going down a really weird road when talking about
no, I'm not.
abortion.
No, I'm asking you like what's considered coercion, right? So when we look at coercion, if I
You
give you
asked me
my
why I
money,
was pro-choice,
hold
and
up,
I
let
told
me just
you
say this,
no,
Kenzie.
no, because
Can
I
I not
don't
say
want.
this?
No,
Okay,
we're
got it. So I
talking
can't
about
debate you.
abortion, and if you want to now talk about tax evasion and to say that's a sense
I'm
of
talking about
coercion,
coercion. I'm talking about coercion.
why?
It's just how if because you brought up coercion yourself, not me.
No, I didn't bring up coercion. I
You
answered your
100%.
question.
That was 100. That was 100% your first point was that it would be considered
What is
pregnancy
your point?
coercion.
Can you get to it?
My point is that just because you have an option to give someone your money to not be killed, it's still coercion. Just how if either
So you're
you go
saying pregnancy coercion is ethical.
yes, because it's completely voluntary.
What is
wait, no.
voluntary?
Pregnancy,
How is pregnancy voluntary?
you
How is
consent to
it
sex.
voluntary when you're being coerced into it? I don't understand how you can say
Well,
pregnancy
define
coercion
in
is voluntary.
do you mean like the R word or like things like
No,
that? Or
I
are you
mean, we
talking
both
about?
agreed that pregnancy was the period of time where a fetus is growing in utero. We both agreed that
Hmm.
coercion was compelling a party to act in an involuntary manner by threat or violence. So how can you say that pregnancy coercion is voluntary? That statement really doesn't make sense.
How can you say that pregnancy
Because
is voluntary, but there's such a thing as
you consent to the sex. That's why it's completely it's not
consent to
coercion.
sex is not consent to pregnancy.
It 100% is. It's just like if you consent to drinking milk if you're lactose intolerant, that's like saying I don't consent to the shitting after I drink milk because I'm lactose intolerant. Your
Well, yeah,
body,
but that's because
it's a consequence of some of one of your actions of
Right.
correct,
You
but
can't
bodily
consent to
action.
consequences. You can't consent to consequences, outcomes, or physiological responses.
Okay. So if in technically it would be coercion, do we classify all coercion as unjust, or we classify certain coercion as just? Is every thing that's coercion considered unjust? Because if that's the case, it's just the same like you brought up earlier, which I didn't bring up. How about like it's saying that if we made a murder illegal, it's like you can't kill someone or you go to jail. It's technically coercion, but
How
is
is
it
that
an
coercion?
unjust?
Do you want to kill people,
Because
Colin?
no, I'm saying it's
Then what am I coercing you into?
you're saying either you don't kill someone or you go to jail. It's technically considered coercion, wouldn't it be?
No, I'm asking, do you want to kill people, Colin?
No, what? You're really
Then
straw manning
why
me. You are
wait,
straw
is
manning really
wait,
hard.
I'm
Colin,
not?
Colin. I
You
feel like
are.
I feel like we're not understanding the definition of coercion. So yeah, although coercion is used to like compel people to do involuntary acts,
Yeah.
you are also making them do it against or her will. In this case, when you are telling people if you murder somebody, you are going to prison, you are not coercing them into not murdering people. They are still allowed to commit that murder. They can still go out and commit that murder, but as a result of their actions, they have consequences.
Exactly.
So, correct. So, when we were talking about pregnancy and you said, well, consent to sex is consent to pregnancy, and then you doubled back on that and said, well, actually, you can't consent to pregnancy because it's a biological process, the same way that you can't consent to having diarrhea after drinking milk if you're lactose intolerant. That was Kenzie's point. You cannot consent to pregnancy, it is a biological function. So just because you consented to sex does not mean that you consented to that outcome.
Then I'm assuming you guys believe in bodily autonomy, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So if that's the case, can a late term like person that's pregnant drink or smoke or do heroin?
So this is essentially the impairment argument.
It's a yes or no.
No,
really
this is the impairment argument, where essentially that if I am causing harm to the fetus, I would say that is immoral.
I mean,
so
it would still be a
therefore,
fetus. It would still
why
be a
are you
human
talking?
being. Okay.
So with the impairment argument, you're essentially saying, can you cause harm to the fetus? Great, no, so that would be immoral. Therefore, killing the fetus would pose greater harm to it. Therefore, that should be immoral. But when you talk about smoking and drinking simply to impair the fetus, there's no direct benefit to the pregnancy, to the person who is pregnant.
You're
Where
right.
the person who is pregnant gets an abortion, there is a benefit to them.
No, it's what that they opt out of the there's evidence that
Yes,
shows that
they
there
opt out of the
is,
pregnancy, exactly.
but they're at the same time.
I'm so fucking cute, bitch.